In this demo, I'm going to show you how to create a princess seam from Armhole. Here's my front bodice sloper. It has a dart coming from the waist, and the princess seam we want to come from our armhole. So the first thing I like to do is kind of eye where I want this princess seam to go, coming from the armhole. I'm going to connect it to my apex, alright, which will then blend down into the waist dart. What I like is somewhere around mid-armhole for this princess seam to come from. I don't want to make it too curved. I think it will look a little ridiculous. I want more of a gentle kind of curve, so I'll just kind of just kind of sketch something out that I like. So something right about there. I think it looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and perfect that line I kind of sketched in. And I'll use my curve ruler and find a curve that blends that in. Let's draw that in. So here's my apex right here. There we go. All right. So there's going to be my princess seam, and then it just comes into the dart. All right. So again, we're going to separate these two panels. We have our front panel and our side front panel. First thing I'm going to do is cut out our dart seam allowance. So I'll just cut up one dart leg to the dart tip, and cut up the other dart leg, like so. Remove that. Now I can finish cutting the two panels apart. Before I do that though, I want to add in some notches. So here's my apex. I'm going to measure up about 2 inches from apex on that line I drew, and add a notch. And then down here, I'm going to measure about 2 inches down from apex and add a notch on each side of that dart leg. Those dart legs, or where those dart legs used to be. There we go. Now we can go ahead and finish cutting this out the rest of the way. And there's my two pieces, my front panel and my side front panel. Okay, let's go ahead and transfer them to paper. First thing I'm going to do is create my placement line. And now I need to draw a balance line. I want that balance line to line up with my bust line. It should be a 90-degree angle off of the placement line. Let's just mark it to make sure we get it in the right place. There we go. And now I'll go ahead and draw that balance line in. There it is. Alright, I'm going to take my front panel and I'll line up my center front. Line up center front with that placement line, and then bust line with that balance line. Okay, we're all lined up, and I'll tape that piece down. Hold it in place. And now we'll go ahead and trace it off. There we are. Don't forget to transfer your notches. So I have a notch right here and a notch right here. Okay, I can remove this now. And I can also go ahead and perfect my trace off. So I'm going to square out for a 1/2 inch at neckline and center front, and then for a 1/2 inch at waist and center front, so I don't get any points there. I can go ahead and perfect my shoulder, and I have a notch right there. Okay, I have some curves now I need to perfect. Neckline. Here's my armhole. part of my armhole. So now let's go ahead and blend this. You can see it kind of jags out here. I'm going to go ahead and blend that together. Okay. And finish blending it out. There we are. And let's not forget our notches. One right here. And one right here. Last is our waist. There we go. And this is center front. Alright, let's do our side seam. Our side panel. I'm going to go ahead and line up my princess seam where it intersects with, I'm going to line up my bust line where it intersects with the princess seam and with the armhole and side seam with that placement line, or sorry, that balance line. And I'll just tape that down. Go. And now I can trace this off. There we go. Let's go ahead and transfer our notches. And we can remove this. And now we can go ahead and perfect this. Now for here, I'm going to just draw a line up, and I'm going to stop when it starts curving, okay, because I'm going to blend that with the ruler. Draw my waist. Again, just find a curve that matches what you already have. We'll do armhole. Now I'll finish this curve here. Come down to from armhole to about bust line, and then I have that gap there, and I'll find a nice curve on the ruler that will blend it together. Up there. There we go. And then I have my directional notch and my armhole. And notch in the front, my 2 notches on princess seam. We can now do our grain lines. On the side front panel, it will be perpendicular to bust line. And on our front panel, it will be perpendicular to bust line and parallel to our center front. And then you can go ahead and add seam allowance, and center front you could add seam allowance, or if you wanted, you could cut it on fold. And there is our princess seam. And that is our princess seam from Armhole.